35192. Want to send a text? AlanCoxShow.com is where you can watch live. We'll be talking to Hall of Famer Joe Thomas very shortly. Who's helping out in the video department today? Blatt Nomen. Blatt?
Yeah.
G-N-O-M-E-N. Blatt Nomen. All right. Solid. Cavaliers lose last night. They had a 7-game run going, but the Sixers stopped it, 118-112. They go into the All-Star break. They will return to play at the Romo Fijo next Thursday night, I believe, the 23rd, against the Denver Nuggets. So that's where they stand right now. Michael Jordan is getting ready to turn 60. I was reading an article about how he is donating $10 million to the Make-A-Wish Foundation for his 60th birthday. It is the largest single donation that they've ever received in their 43-year history. And he turns 60 tomorrow and wanted to make a big show. You know what else freaked me out? Chris Farley's birthday was yesterday. And Chris Farley would have been 59 years old, which means next year, by my math, next year Chris Farley would have been 60. Think of Chris Farley at 60. Like, could you ever envision a time where the way he lived and how he did things, he'd get to 60?
It's hard to imagine. It really is.
He's been dead 25 years as of this past Christmas. But that just, as I was looking at the Jordan thing, Farley's birthday was yesterday, 59 years. He's a fat guy who likes speedballs. That is not a recipe for longevity.
It is not. But even if you're just a fat guy, like John Candy died in his 40s, and he was just big, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think he had the whole...
You don't need the drug thing to go along with it.
I don't think he had the drug addiction that Farley had.
So you might have seen the commercial during the Super Bowl for that movie Air, about the creation of the Air Jordan shoe. It's Affleck. It's Matt Damon. Bateman's in it. We were looking at the commercial, and Gwen goes, "Why is a movie about sneakers rated R?" And I go, "That's a really good question." Because I don't think that Michael Jordan is in it. I don't mean him. I don't think they had cast a Michael Jordan character.
I think it's more
all
about,
in the background,
yeah.
and it's about the shoe and the family. Viola Davis is in it because she's in everything.
It's about business, so they're speaking the way people speak. It's going to be a pretty mature movie.
You think so?
Language-wise.
Is that what they're going to do?
I think there's going to be a lot of F-bombs and stuff.
I just like Affleck's curly perm wig.
Mm-hmm.
The girl who cuts my hair was telling me that all the rage right now with college dudes and high school dudes is getting perms.
Yeah, you see it all the time on
and
the
I
dating
go,
shows and stuff.
Why? She goes, I don't know, probably Pat Mahomes or something dumb like that. I was like, oh. I mean, I got one when I went to college. I was like, you can reinvent yourself. My hair is stick straight. And it was still longish. And I go, you know what? I told the girl who's doing it, I go, it's not like a perm. It'll like put some wave in it or whatever.
Yeah.
But I ended up cutting it. And then there was more of like a Kirk Cameron, Mike Seaver vibe that I wasn't going for. And so I grew it out. But I was just, I was like, wow, really? Dudes are going back to perms.
Yep. Did you see in that trailer for Air with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, there's a scene where they go, "Sneakers? Do you like sneakers?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." And he slaps a phone number, Michael Jordan's phone number on the window, goes, "I got his number. How you like them sneakers?"
Shut up.
Today's his birthday, so we have to let him do
Do we
whatever he
have
wants.
to?
Yes,
No, you
he
don't.
can get away
Yeah,
with
I'm-
whatever he wants
I'm
today.
41
Yes.
years old. You can make fun
He
of me.
can get away.
You don't
with
think that's
whatever
going to be
he
in the
wants.
movie?
No,
Why wouldn't it?
it's not going to be in the movie.
It would be a nice nod.
It'd be hilarious.
People love doing that crossover stuff.
Yeah.
There is, I don't know how many people are watching a show called Your Honor. It's Bryan Cranston over on Showtime, where he plays this disgraced judge, and he has dealings with this mob boss. And a character has come into the series who plays a long absent mob boss. Like from the old world, this guy comes back to the show set in New Orleans, comes back to New Orleans. And the guy who plays him is an actor named Mark Margolis, who was Hector Salamanca on Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a scene where Cranston and this guy are talking, and I'm like, man, this must be fun for them. Because what a lot of people don't know about actors, I'd like all of you guys take notes. What a lot of people don't know about actors is, for every project they do, They're playing someone else. I don't see anybody writing this down. They're playing another character. Mary knows this.
Yeah,
She played a hardened New York lawyer,
Nope.
a hardened Western horse lawyer
Yep.
in this movie.
Same accent for both. Hey, I'm a lawyer in
Hey!
the West.
Deadwood sucks. Well, you are a New York agent.
Yeah.
A New York agent. So she comes in smoking, her hair's all piled up. She's got stray ringlets coming in, matched only by the smoke rings all around her head. And let me tell you something, kid. And then she takes a big, long
big
puff,
break for ya.
blows it in their face, and goes, I don't know what it is, but you got it. A real Elaine Stritch vibe that
Yes.
Mary's given her character. How is that laid out, by the way? You got sick when you went to L.A.
They haven't
How-
gotten back to me.
Oh.
So I'm going to
that's not good.
assume I am not going to be in the movie.
At all?
I don't know.
I thought you said they couldn't recast you because they'd shot so much.
That's what they said.
Why
But
don't
I
they
also am not
CGI
going to.
you?
I don't think they have a budget for that. I'm also
Please.
not
You can
going
do
to.
CGI on your laptop these days.
I'm not going to push it. I'm just going to wait for them. I mean, maybe in a month or two, I'll hit him up and be like, what? Because I'm sure he has bigger issues to figure out. Dude's making a movie, you know? I'm supposed to film 2 scenes, and I'm already in the last scene, so I don't know what's going to happen.
Are they going to kill you off?
They can't. I'm
Why?
in the last scene.
Well, you rejigger scenes all the time. I mean, they move scenes around.
Unless they make the last scene like a flashback.
Right.
They kill me earlier.
These
don't
are
know.
the decisions they have to make all the time, right? For any story, they go, oh my God, we can't do this. The continuity here is all weird. You're moving scenes around all the time.
Sure. I mean, I'm going to follow up maybe in a month.
In a month?
I don't want to
What
be
are
a
you waiting for?
bother.
A bother? You're in their movie.
I know, but I feel
A
like
bother?
I feel like that's on them to reach out to me and be like, "Hey, here's the new game plan."
Just be like, hey, I really feel like I really screwed you guys. Hey, you know how I really screwed you guys? I feel really awful about it, and I just like to know how I can help. Then if you don't hear back from them, you go, oh, they're killing me off. They're killing
He
me.
might have already. I don't know.
Well,
find
then
out.
you just have to hope for a really dramatic death. Because it's not one you get to act out.
fall down an elevator chute.
Well, yeah, something. Elevator shoot is what they call them.
What are they called? Terminal? Elevator garage?
An elevator terminal. God, I've been waiting for this goddamn elevator. I'm looking right at the schedule. It
It's
says
stuck
the
in
next
its
one's
terminal.
5 minutes away. That's right. You guys want to talk to a Pro Football Hall of Famer?
Do we ever?
Oh my God. A Pro Football Hall of Famer? Joe Thomas? Is that who it is or no?
Hello.
Joe!
Hello. What's up, guys?
Oh my God. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It has been a whirlwind week now, but it has been just incredible. So many moments that are just surreal. You can't even believe it when somebody calls you a Hall of Famer.
Did they already have Joe Thomas Lane in Brookfield, Wisconsin?
They need to, I think. They need
Right.
to definitely step up the game, like right by the dump or something like that. They could name it Joe Thomas Lane in honor of an offensive lineman in the Hall of
Right.
Fame.
Yes. Joe Thomas is from Brookfield, Wisconsin, which is like, I don't know if it's technically suburban Milwaukee, but it's in that kind of metropolitan area. And I grew up in Chicago. And so as a kid, because my middle brother was a Brewers fan, we were kind of going up that way. And my uncle was a big fisherman. And the only thing I remember is he was always fishing in Pewaukee, which I think is right by where you grew up.
Oh. Yeah, Pewaukee right next to me. So actually, J.J. Watt, the Watt boys are from Pewaukee, and where I grew up is right on the Brookfield-Pewaukee line. So
Right.
I know all about it. Some great muskie fishing on Lake Pewaukee.
That's what they say. Was there ever, between you and the Watt brothers, was there ever like any border skirmishes, any East Coast, West Coast stuff, or no?
No, you know what? They're a little bit younger than me. So I actually never even got to play against them in high school or even in college in practice because J.J. didn't get there until after I was already gone.
Is there any thought when you're in the pros, when you're just starting your pro career, guys move around all the time, there's journeyman players, there's people, was there a thought in your head that, well, it would be nice if I could be with one team my whole career, or is that something that isn't necessarily a consideration?
Oh, absolutely. I grew up in the 80s and 90s when you just didn't have as much player movement as they do now. And additionally, like all you got to watch on Sundays was the team that was the local team. And so for me, it was the Packers.
Yeah.
And so you become really loyal to your team and to the guys that are there. And as a fan, I always loved the fact that, it was mostly the same guys that I got to cheer for, especially the stars. They just didn't move around all that much. And so for me, especially once I got to Cleveland and fell in love with the area and the organization and kind of made it my mission to try to be part of the turnaround, there was never any consideration for me of like wishing I could go anywhere else. And I always thought it would be such a great way for me during my career to be a Cleveland Brown with no other stops on the in my career.
Not only that, but you're not in an LA or you're not in where the Cleveland, the legacy of the team aside, there's probably a very similar vibe culture-wise to how you grew up.
Oh, yeah. Milwaukee and Cleveland, they could be like brother or sister cities because they're very similar, both on a Great Lake. They've got similar sizes, similar demographies. And I think they've got a good people, a good working class, blue collar folk. And that was part of the reason that I just fell in love with it so quickly, is because it just felt like home, because it was a lot like growing up in Milwaukee.
The Joe Thomas that we see now, the one that stuns people, is the one that looks like he's like carved out of granite, right? When you were playing, when you were a bigger guy as a player, was that guy inside you the whole time, or were you the Joe Thomas on the Browns and then you're done playing and you're like, well, now I gotta be a different kind of guy?
Yeah, so I was actually 250 pounds when I got to college as a freshman. And so for me in my head, my life growing up, I was not a big, huge guy. I was always tall. I was 6'7" when I was 14, but I had to force myself to eat like a maniac, to put the weight on, to play offensive line, and then to keep the weight on when I was in the NFL. So when I lost the weight, and plenty of people that I knew had only known me since I got big when I was in college, they were so surprised. And like, I don't even recognize you. But in my head, that's always who I was. I just gained the weight to play college and pro football.
Now, Joe, are you going to go into the Hall of Fame with your bust being the sleek, bald-headed Joe Thomas, or are you going to go more of your playing days bust?
Yeah, so it's pretty funny because I didn't even realize that was an option. But when we sat with the sculptor on the Sizing Saturday before the Super Bowl, that was one of the questions they had. And I was sort of caught off guard because I thought they just pick whatever bust, they feel like. But for me, the guy that is in the Hall of Fame is the big guy that played for the Browns. It's not like the skinny guy that I was until I was 18, or the guy right now that lost weight after I was playing. So definitely the guy that's got the hair is what I'm looking for.
I think that's the way to go. And then when people, you can stand by it and see if people can actually figure out if you're that guy. Is that what you plan to do? Just kind of move to Canton and just stand by your bust all day, every day, waiting for people to recognize you?
I was thinking about it. It'd be like Halloween when they have the people that dress up and sit on their porch and then scare kids. I think that's what I'm going to try to do with my bust.
A fun thing would have, if it were available, you don't often get to say that you sat with a sculptor, but what would be awesome is if the technology were available where, like those hologram playing cards where if you look at them one way, you see one thing, and if you look at them, if they could do that with the bust where you get the current Joe Thomas and the player Joe Thomas. It's too bad that wasn't an option.
Yeah, all of the above. That's what I've been saying with all of this Hall of Fame stuff. They were like, would you like this or that? I'm like, give me both. I'm cool with, give me all of the things.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm just excited. It's Joe Thomas.
Of course. Talk to him. It's Bill's birthday today, Joe.
Oh, happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you very much.
What are we doing to celebrate?
I'm going
talking to you.
Yeah, talking to you. This is kind of the best birthday present. So through all the years you're playing, and you played against some legendary players, was there one that you enjoyed matching up with because everybody else had a problem with them, but you kind of had them figured out?
That's a good question. I always said that I like going into this Hall of Fame class with DeMarcus Ware because he gave me the most trouble. So I definitely didn't have him figured out. But I will say I only played against Jason Taylor once, and it was the year after he was the Defensive Player of the Year, and I was actually a rookie. And he would just crush people with this long arm stab that he had because he's got such long arms he'd get you to trigger your hands, and he'd reach around with his other arm because his arms are so long. He'd grab the back of your jersey and kind of jerk you forward. And then he was quick. He could flip his hips and get around you. And I figured out that the only way I could beat him is if I actually just punched his hand before it got to me and kept distance, almost like, if you're in a sword fight. I'm sure you guys have been in a lot of sword fights or like fencing battles. Yeah, you got to keep away from him. You don't want to let him get in your body. Yeah, me too. And so I figured that out. And so I feel like I kind of frustrated him in that game that we played because I don't think he'd ever seen anybody do that to him before. And being the guy that was Defensive Player of the Year before, I'm sure he thought he was going to walk all over this rookie. And I felt pretty good after finishing that game that like I kind of figured him out and stymied him and kept him at bay. And I think up until that point, I'd been playing well, but I'm sure there are people who are wondering, hey, how's this rookie going to play when he plays some real good players like a Jason Taylor?
That's awesome. Now that you're doing TV, what's something there where you had a take and you just, you throw it out there and then all of a sudden Twitter's coming at you and you're like, this is just like a benign take and now everybody's at my throat. Have you had a moment like that where, especially with the fan base around the NFL, the Browns fan base is adamant. You get the Eagles, stuff like that, where you make some kind of comment and then everybody just like, oh, Joe Thomas hates the Eagles or something like that.
Well, the cool thing about the NFL fan bases is they are diehard, they are loyal, and they are irrational. So no matter what you say about their team, even if it's totally legitimate, they're going to come after you on Twitter. They're going to come after you on social media, and that's just part of it, right? And so you got to have a cornerbacks type memory when you work in TV or you work in media because somebody's always going to be mad at what you have to say, but, it's your job to tell your version of the truth. But I will say that one time on Thursday Night Football, for some reason, we were talking about Sacagawea, and I said Sakakawea, and people were like, you don't even know what you're talking about, Sacagawea. And I was like, well, actually, now I'm questioning myself. One of my NFL Network people, right, a little bit of loyalty, a little bit of bonding there of my network people, came back at everybody on Twitter and was like, actually, there's two ways to pronounce it, and came up with like this real long Wikipedia definition to defend my honor, even though it was completely unintentional on my part. I was right in the end, and it felt pretty good to have like somebody jumping on there and making you sound a little less dumb.
Sacagawea would have been a great nickname for Michael Strahan, right? He had like the most sacks in the season. That would have been awesome.
It was almost what they renamed the Washington football team.
Yeah, the Sacagaweas. It's the lady on the gold coin that I put into the vending machine. I don't know who it is all the time. Listen,
love it.
Joe Thomas, we're so proud of you, not only as people here in Cleveland, but just for everything that you gave to the game. And there's a lot of guys that come out, and they're a lot worse for wear, and they're kind of listless, and they're kind of directionless. And it's awesome to see somebody that's gone in the direction that you have get down there in Canton. And best of luck with everything else. Bill, parting thoughts to Joe Thomas.
Well, I just want to congratulate you on getting into the Hall of Fame. I think you have another chance to get in there through your work as an analyst, because I think you give great analysis. And I'm also just like, I feel like a little kid right now because I get to talk to one of the all-time greatest football players, the first offensive lineman in NFL history, if I recall.
But he's 6'7", so we all look like little kids next to him. That's the fun.
Thanks for calling in, Joe.
Joe, thank you so much,
Hey,
man.
guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you,
And
pal.
happy birthday, Bill.
Happy birthday, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. There's Joe Thomas. He's over there at the NFL Network, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna
doing
go die
his
now.
thing.
I'm gonna go die now. This is awesome.
You're freaking out.
I am.
It's very exciting.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah.
It's a great birthday present, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Better than the $50 I sent you?
I mean, I like it all.
Is it better than the $50 I sent you?
Listen, I think this is better than most things.
Is it better than the $50 the pound cake?
Making
sent
Joe
you?
Thomas laugh, even if it was just like a sympathy laugh? It was
Sure.
awesome.
Sympathy
There you
laugh.
go.
Ha ha! I'm so sorry.
Oh.
All right, good. I'm going to
Shaking.
let Bill's all verklempt. I'm going to let him towel himself off, and then I'll have another $1,000 for you at 3:30. So listen for that keyword. You could end today being $1,000 richer. And I'll have ministry tickets for you. They're doing a bunch of festival dates, but a headlining run will bring him to Cleveland.